If funding is positive, traders are bullish. It doesn't matter how many look at it because the data cannot be manipulated. It is what it is. Funding can never be a trap. There's never a universe where, oh, the funding's been positive for 3 weeks, it must be the top. Oh, it went higher. No, it doesn't happen, no. If funding is positive like that, and you can see the market is overextended, it's the top. You can't manipulate that. It's too big of a tool that you could even get a chance to try and manipulate it. Funding is a pure and authentic measure of future expected price performance. So obviously if funding's positive and traders are paying to be long, they must think the price is going up in the future because they're thinking they're going to make a profit for sure. So you can obviously use that as an authentic way to see what the market thinks is going to happen. Funding is the primary source of social consensus on whether Bitcoin is perceived to be going up or down. Now I'm going to add one more note here. Funding occurs on any altcoin with on a derivatives exchange that has the derivatives contracts. So I say Bitcoin here, but I refer to all coins. All right, here's some tweets from the guy who basically made me find funding. So, funding rates are all you need to trade successfully. Daily time frame, not hourly, it's elastic. See, elastic keyword. And it's all you need to trade successfully, literally. No, bro, you don't understand. Actually, no, I won't read that one yet. You since 2018. Yes, let me get onto the new flavor of the month. Ah, yes, let me not share this alpha with anyone. Oh no, I don't want it to get diluted. Me since 2018. Funding, 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 guys, funding, use funding. So what he's trying to say there is, doesn't suffer from alpha decay. It doesn't matter how many people look at it, how many people doesn't matter, it still works. Whereas everyone else is trying to hide the alpha because it might get diluted. Funding, it can't be diluted. It doesn't matter. You can't dilute funding, and it's the only tool, it's the only data method that actually works like that. And there's not a single other tool that does that. So what's the last one here? People should remember that entries are the result of price entry plus funding time since entry, not just entry. It's why high funding is only a major bearish factor when the price has consolidated in the range for long enough to give bulls a much higher liquidation than before. So what he's trying to say there, I won't go too much into depth, but he's trying to say that the reason that when you have like 3 weeks of positive funding in a row, that's the top, is because if you entered a long and your liquidation price was 10% lower, but you just paid 3 weeks of funding and the funding was like 4% of your position, your liquidation price is now like 4% higher because you just had to pay a lot of your collateral for the privilege to be long. So that's all he's trying to say there. But these are just different angles, and the main one is the top one here. Funding rates are all you really need to trade successfully. It's the most important tool in crypto. All right, liquidation, the fun stuff. Let's move this over here. So a liquidation is a forced closure of a position when you run out of money to hold the position open. And a liquidation cascade is a liquidation causing someone else's liquidation, causing someone else's liquidation continuously. Like an avalanche sort of thing. Similar concept, it's like a cascade. Liquidations can occur to both longs and shorts, so happens both ways, up and down. Because these orders are forced orders and they're not like intentional, you tend to see short-term mean reversion after nukes. So if price nukes 10% on a liquidation, it's very common to see price go back up 10% the next day because it wasn't an informed order. They didn't want the price to drop. It just happened that they got liquidated, which caused the short-term price drop. And next concept, sentiment. Sentiment is very similar to funding, but sentiment is like the direct way of looking at the emotions. So in crypto, in a market, the sentiment is always repeating. It's the same for every market. It's the same for every market cycle. 100 years ago, the exact same sentiment was occurring as today. The reason being, humans all are driven by the same emotions, and we all have the same programming, right? You feel greed when you, when you make heaps of money, right? You feel FOMO when you see your friends overseas. You feel fear when someone came up to you trying to fight. These are just interpersonal feelings and emotions that we all feel because we're all driven by the same coding. And so in a market, if every person has a foundational level of the same characteristics that drive their decision making, e.g. their emotion, sentiment, you find recurring patterns of the same emotions. So at the top of the market, everyone's euphoria. Oh my God, look at all this money I've made. I'm rich. I finally don't have to be a slave anymore in my job. And then they lose all their money. Despondency, depression, capitulation. I'm going to have to work at McDonald's forever. I'm going to have to pick up a second job. You know, that's despondency and depression and capitulation. And this happens in all markets throughout all of history. Even back when they were trading, I don't even know, like when they had physical trading venues, it was the same emotional cycles. Why is sentiment important? Well, one of the driving coding pieces in every human is the desire to follow the herd. The reason we have an instinctual desire to follow herds is because in order for us to become top of the food chain, it required teamwork and it required organization of groups of us together to work together to build shit, right? If you were a lone human in the wild, you would be slaughtered by the lions, the fucking tigers, you would be destroyed. If you were a part of a clan of 10 people with 2 up always at one time during the night keeping watch and 5 people fighting a lion to get dinner for everyone, you would survive, you would be fine. So there's hardwired desire for you to seek a herd, to seek a group. And this is why traders go wrong, because if you follow the herd in crypto, you're following the wrong people. You need to buy before others are buying and sell before others are selling. If you follow the herd and you buy when everyone's buying, you're going to run out of new people to buy your bags so that you can sell in a profit. So accurate sentiment analysis is basically, because of this, an almost guaranteed way to make money and to buy the bottom and sell the top. If you know in a really easy way where people are euphoric, where people are depressed, you just sell at the top, buy at the bottom. It's so fucking simple. The hard part is getting accurate sentiment analysis, but this is where funding comes in, because funding is the most accurate sentiment analysis around. Little tip right there. So humans never change. And if you can recognize what euphoria feels like and what capitulation feels like, you will always make money regardless of the market, regardless of when. You could be a profitable investor for the rest of your life using purely sentiment. Why I don't use on-chain tools. So, as you can see here, Willy Woo said derivatives markets and on-chain investor movements are 2 different systems. So derivatives is referring to funding, and on-chain he's referring to like the actual data that they take from the Bitcoin blockchain. And one controls the short-term price, the other controls the long-term price. So derivatives short-term, on-chain long-term. And what have we got here? Why would that activity in new participants, actually we'll read here, because spot purchases are insignificant next to derivatives volume. Derivatives set the price, spot purchasing impacts organic value, which is camouflaged in the short term under derivatives strategic games that traders play. So what he basically said is that if you want to know where Bitcoin is in 5 years, look at on-chain. If you want to know where to buy the bottom, use derivatives data. So that's why I don't use on-chain, because I don't give a shit what Bitcoin's doing in 5 years. And even if I did care, it takes about 10 minutes of me looking at a chart to find this out, and then I'm done. I don't need to look at it again. But what I do want to do is I want to buy the bottom and I want to sell the top, because I'm here to make money. You know, Bitcoin's cool and all. If it goes up, great. But I can make money even if it goes up, down, sideways. I don't really care. And that's why I don't use on-chain tools. And that looks like the end of the video. So I hope that was not too much information for you guys to take in. But yeah, we've got another really good video coming up after this. Thank you.